jeez, I gotta fix that. That's so jarring. Okay, looks like my mic is working okay, which is fantastic. Let's turn up that. I'm gonna transition back. Hold on, wait. Okay. Okay. That's so much better. Okay. 300 millisecond on the fade transition. So normally I have that set to 1,000 milliseconds. It just feels a lot less jarring. So sorry if you had that same experience that I normally do. Just whiplash. Okay. All right. So some of you may have been wondering where I've been. Probably not any of you, to be honest. I have like 20 subscribers and I don't get a consistent viewer base, so who gives a fuck? But I felt like it'd be at least a good idea just to, if nothing else, get in the habit of doing this sort of thing. Because I do want to stream more. That is my plan. So, spoiler alert. So I didn't really intend to drop off the face of the earth. I actually like have been really wanting to get back into streaming. But as some of you may have seen if you watched consistently back in like spring break when I started actually streaming. I'm sorry if this is give me 1 second. I'm gonna turn this off because this is gonna be distracting to see both of these. Turn off the face cam on here. Okay, sorry about that. I just like see that in the corner and I'm like, wait a minute, that's weird to see like two of me. Anyway, so yeah, if you noticed a while ago, um I don't remember when exactly it happened. I think I streamed a little bit after this, but it did not go well and the stream quality was not as good, like the streams were not as long. So basically, the I was playing the finals, I think, and I was like, guys, I have to go. Like, like something smells like smoke, or I was making comments like something smells like smoke. Like, it smells like someone's smoking outside my window, stuff like that. Yeah. So it turned out, I ended the stream and I investigated a little further. It was my PC that was making that smell, and I think I explained this a little bit too. But basically, what had happened was my power supply was failing. Not really sure how or what was going on. Um, but I ended up taking it apart just to make sure everything was fine, like everything was okay. At this time, at the time I'm taking it apart, I had no idea. I feel like my mic's really loud. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. I see that it's peaking. Sorry. So I see that the connectors for the power supply, which if you're not familiar with PCs, I'll try to explain this in a way that's easy to understand. So there's connectors that go from the power supply. Basically, the power supply is what draws the power from the wall. It's what plugs in from the wall to your PC, and then the power supply plugs into pretty much every other component in the computer. So the graphics card, which is what your like HDMI or DisplayPort would connect into, and also what's really important for things like video games and streaming, especially multitasking. That's basically what handles all like the video stuff, hence the term graphics card. So but that's what it's really important. It's the most expensive part in the PC. The connectors from the power supply into the graphics card had melted. um I don't think, no, I don't have them anymore because I actually cleaned up my office, which, yeah, knocked over my trash can. So the connectors, if I have pictures, maybe I'll edit this into a video later and I'll put them up, but uh they were like black. um they were supposed to be red for your just for your reference. They're supposed to be like a bright, like this chair red almost. And like two pins in particular were just like melted, like it's like this is like the ends like, right here of the pins, right? They were melted back and like the metal stinger was like kind of just like sticking out and they were like blackened around the edges and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's not good. That's probably what I was smelling, to be honest, what was what I smelled burning. Um and if I followed those connectors back from the graphics card to the power supply, it was even worse in the power supply. Those connectors were also like black and charred, and like the ports in that part of the power supply were also just destroyed. They were gone. Um, so I was like, oh well, that's fun. So then I ended up just like taking that out, getting a new power supply. I took my PC from work actually, which if you don't obviously if you don't know, I'm a esports coach at a community college, so it was it was a pretty decent gaming PC. But I just took that from my office. I kind of just used that at home for a couple of days while I waited for my power supply to get in. Plugged everything in, and everything worked fine. It was okay. It didn't have any stink anymore. Luckily, the graphics card, which I do have, I can show you. Sorry, I've still got my plate from lunch down here, but so this is the old graphics card. Yes, it's massive. It's a 2080 Super, so it was pretty big when it came out. And maybe I can show you this a little bit. I'm not sure how well it's going to pick up on the camera, especially with the lighting being where it is. So you can see how some of these ports have shiny pins, and the other ones you don't even see the pins. So actually, this lighting works really well. So those pins were actually where they're darkened because that's where like they were burning basically. But you can see that like the pins were a little blackened, but the ports themselves look fine. Like the shape is fine. So they actually it's still like plugged in and worked okay, and I didn't have any issues on the new power supply, thankfully. Um, so yeah. But basically, so I got the power supply in. I was using this GPU for a while, which obviously I'm not anymore. I'll get into that. uh, so everything seemed to be working fine. Like I'd run games, I play tested my games and stuff like that, and everything seemed to be working okay. I took my work computer back because obviously spring break ended. So I really can't be hauling that thing back and forth anyway, so I was just like, yeah, we'll just take it back. I'll be I should be able to just make this one work. And my hair feels like really greasy and I need to take a shower here in a bit, but so I tried streaming and didn't go well. Um Normally with that GPU, I'd drop maybe like 10 frames while I'm streaming, but it wasn't a big deal. Like I was already getting like 200 FPS in like every game, so it was like who cares if I'm dropping like 10 frames because I mean I only have like a 170 hertz monitor, so it like doesn't really affect me that much. Um and but it ran everything fine. The problem I was having, so I use Opera GX for my browser, and obviously I use Discord for pretty much any communication or anything like that. Both of those have hardware acceleration, which is a setting that basically uses your GPU um, to sort of I'm not really entirely sure what it does exactly. I just know that it uses your GPU to basically run better. I'm not sure how it uses it to run better, but it's just kind of how it works. And if I was streaming, playing a game, had Opera GX open, and had Discord open, my whole computer would freeze, and it would basically cause Opera GX to fail and cause Discord to close and basically like restart itself. And then it would unfreeze as soon as that happened. So basically, my GPU was not handling multitasking very well, which like I like at all basically. Like even small things like um if I had Opera GX open for like um especially like Roll20, like so like the D&D stuff. Basically, Roll20 really relies on the hardware acceleration built into the browser because it's got like graphical stuff like you're like moving around a lot and there's like a lot of like visual effects that you can do on that, which like there's a lot of cool stuff, but it needs hardware acceleration to run well. So if I had that open and then I had Discord open for the call because we're recording for the podcast, and then we usually use our cameras, so I'd have OBS open. I wouldn't be streaming or recording. I would just have virtual camera running, so that because I use like my green screen and stuff like that, so that's why you do it through that, rather than just my webcam. That would even cause issues where it would just restart OBS and Discord. So I tried without OBS. I would just run Discord, with just a regular webcam. So basically how like this background looks right now, no green screen. Um, and even that was having issues. Like my video would just randomly freeze. So what I ended up doing to get things working so that my computer wasn't freaking out while I was playing games, I turned off hardware acceleration on both Discord and um, Opera GX, and it worked. It worked great. I was able to play games. Nothing with if I was just running a game with no hardware acceleration on my other apps, um, I could have everything open just fine. If I started streaming, it started to mess up again like really badly, so I couldn't stream. So I tried, and that's why I said like my last few streams probably were not great quality. I'd randomly just like I can't do this. I just have to like turn off stream so I can play this game properly because it would just really mess up the games like visually for me. Um, so yeah, that's why I haven't been streaming lately is because I just haven't had the graphics card for it. Really, like it was more of a hardware issue, and graphics card's expensive, so it took me a while to get one. Basically, just waited for tax returns before I ordered one, and I did. I ended up getting a better one, which is nice. So I've got right now I currently have I went from a 20 Super to a what is it? What one was it? 7900 XTX, which is the AMD one. It's the high-end AMD one. So if you're not familiar with the AMD ones and you're more familiar with Nvidia, it's comparable to like the 4080, I believe. Very similar. It's $1,000. So yeah, it was a little bit expensive. A little bit ridiculous how high those prices have gotten on the GPUs. It makes it very difficult to upgrade. So things I've noticed so far, like so far everything's been running. I actually did a fresh install of Windows 2. So well, not Windows 2, Windows 11, but obviously, so I did the fresh install on Windows, and that also seemed to make things run better. Of course, that always does. Like fresh, I do that periodically where I'll fresh install. I just make sure to like kind of save a lot of the file, like like document files and pictures and stuff like that that I want to like keep. So I just save those to like a separate hard drive, and then I just transfer them after. Um, so I kept most of like the important stuff. I just like re-downloaded all my apps and reinstalled them and everything, just so everything was clean installed. It makes things run better. It actually kind of like clears up some space too, because sometimes when you update, some files are like left behind that they can't realistically delete. Like they can't really delete files. They can just add files sometimes or overwrite files for updates. So yeah, fresh installs make things run better. Um, but that also meant I didn't save my OBS profiles and stuff. So that also meant I had to like redo all my OBS profiles and stuff like that. So I finally got all those done today. Well, at least mostly done today. So I'll probably still have some like tweaking and editing to do with them later. My cam, I know my web, I can tell you right now, my webcam setup is not going to be as cool as it were for Overwatch, where I had the um in frame on the border of my for my webcam. I'll get that eventually, but I don't have that set up right now. It takes like a few minutes and like finagling to like get properly like positioned and stuff like that, and I don't feel like going through that right now. Um, so yeah, there was that. So yeah, that's why I haven't been streaming, and that's why I plan on streaming again finally now. So I may have the time. Probably mostly weekends. It probably won't be every day like it was before, or like close to every day like it was before. Not until summer break starts, which is probably in a couple weeks here actually. So it shouldn't be too bad. Because I think actually yeah. So like this week, all my finals are due. So this week I'll probably have those done, and then I think we're doing our last rounds on esports as well. So actually, next as early as next week, I could be streaming a lot more consistently, because I should have everything done. So, yeah. All right. So on to the next section. Only 15 minutes in, which is nice. So okay, that's the PC news. Oh, actually, sorry. Rewind that. Roll back a little bit. In terms of my PC and how it's performing now, everything's fantastic. The new graphics card obviously is running well enough for me to stream. The only thing I've noticed, which is gonna be, it's not a big deal. It's something I can wait to do, but I will do eventually. Is I've noticed the motherboard is also kind of not I don't think buggy's the right word. It's not failing, but it's definitely throwing errors on some things, and there's a few things that aren't working the way they should be. Um, so it's not too bad. It's basically just like not all the USB ports are really like working as well. So like for example, I got a new keyboard. and I was plugging that into which ports are they? I think they're USB 3.2 or something like that. Or no, they're USB 3.0. I have like 6 USB 3.0 and 6 USB 3.2s. I was plugging it into the 3.0 ports, and it would randomly like it would reset the drivers or something. It was weird. So like I have my keyboard lights, set to a certain color, and then all of a sudden the lights would shut off. I'd hear like the disconnect reconnect sound through Windows and like in my headset, and then the lights would come back on. But during that time where it was doing all of this like really like weird rebooting thing, I like no inputs or would work on my keyboard. And obviously if you're mid game, especially like Overwatch, and that happens for like a second, you're just like it can really mess you up. So I put them in the 3.2 ports just to see if that would work, and it's worked flawlessly since then. Um, but I'm assuming that obviously that never happened to me before. And it's just a keyboard. It should not really need like a 3.2 to work. A 3.0 should be fine. Um, so I basically have just kind of been assuming that I need to replace it, which I need to anyway. It is just as old as that GPU was, so I need a new motherboard. And if I'm getting a new motherboard, I'm gonna probably upgrade to the new CPU and RAM as well, because I currently am running on DDR4. So I need to upgrade to DDR5, and then also the CPU, the upgraded CPU is going to be a different socket, which means basically I can't just get a new keyboard and plug in my old CPU and RAM. I have to get CPU, RAM, and motherboard all at once and upgrade them all. Which the stuff that motherboards are also extremely expensive, at least for the nicer ones. And I do overclock, and I do want basically all the nicer features on the motherboard, so I'm gonna get the expensive one, even though it's stupidly overpriced. I think the one I was looking at was like $500, which is just ridiculous, because I think the stuff that is advanced as the like the one I want to get used to be more like 200, so the like inflation on that's insane. um DDR5 has gone down a lot in price, luckily. I think I'm only paying like 100 or 150 or something for that. Maybe closer to 200 for that, but only because I'm getting 64 gigs from 32, which is just insanely overkill. But I figured I might as well. If I'm spending a bunch of money, I might as well just get like a just a balls to the wall, like out of there kind of thing. And then the CPU, the newer ones are also kind of expensive, and obviously I'm getting a higher end one because I have a higher end GPU, so it needs to kind of not bottleneck my system. So that's like probably also somewhere up to like the $500 range for the one I'm getting, which I think is the 7000 series for AMD is the one I plan on getting. So it'd be like the 7800X or something like that. Is probably the one I'm gonna get. I don't think I'm gonna get like the X3D or anything. I might get the X3D, but I'm kind of like on the fence about that. If I get like the X3D or something like that, I'll probably want to get a new cooler as well. Something that fits in the case better and I can put in a more optimal position. Because the case I had, oh, that was another thing. I did upgrade the case because the GPU was too big for my other case, so I had to get a new case, which is much bigger. So it's nice, but the only downside is I have a 280 rad, which is two 140 fans, so it's a lot wider than a lot of cases are designed to. A lot of them are for 120 millimeter fans, so it's like 120 too wide. So a lot of cases just don't work with that radiator. And this one technically works, but only like basically top mounted or bottom mounted. And I don't like top mounting my radiator because it makes it really hard for the pump to like pump the liquid through for some reason. So I put it on the bottom. Oh, I also don't like mounting it on the top because a lot of times there's clearance issues with either your RAM and it makes it harder to get like your power connector for your CPU into the motherboard. So because it's like right up in the top left corner where there's like two fans like touching each other, and if you get a GPU or if you get a it's like this is a top corner, right? So like you've got your back fan and then you've got your top fans, and then if you put a radiator in there, it like moves your top fans down like quite a bit, so it can cause clearance issues. So I didn't want to put it in the top either for that. Um, Now where I've been putting it before was the front panel, but this case is it's like an a glass wraparound case. So this is the front panel that is glass and then glass, and it's seamless, and there's nowhere to mount fans here. It's just a glass panel, and the fans actually mount so that this is the motherboard inside the case. The fans actually mount right here, and they pull fan from the back panel, and the whole back panel's mesh, which is really cool. It's NZXT case. I think it's the H9 Flow. If you are interested in seeing what that looks like, I may put a picture up right up in here or something if I'm editing this later. um, so it pulls air in from the back, and then it pushes it out the top and rear. And then it pulls air from the bottom as well, and the bottom is where I have my currently have my um, radiator. So I'll probably get what I'll probably do is get like a 360, which is 3 120s, and then I'll put that on the side, so it's positioned a little bit better. The fans will draw the air a little bit better, so that'll be nice. Anyways, yeah, so that was 5 minutes of rambling about my PC plans, but it's whatever. I enjoy talking about this stuff because building PC is obviously kind of my thing. So, one of my many things, I suppose. So, onwards to the future. This is the part I'm really excited to talk about. So what should I talk about first? Let's talk about my streaming plans. My streaming plans, obviously, I kind of already talked about that mostly. I plan on streaming a lot more consistently. I want to do it close to every day as I can, at least a few hours, and just sort of keep it consistent. So there should be a good flow of content. I want to get into editing. I think in the summer I'll have more time for it and hopefully get good enough at it to be fast at it. It's really slow for me because I'm not as good at it. So it might be slow streams of like edited content. So if that's something you're interested in, just bear with me as I figure out how to do that, please. And then I promise it'll pay off. I know it will eventually. Um, uh, I'm going to be changing the branding on the channel as well. I really like what I've done with it, but for reasons I'll get into, it's not really fitting me anymore. It's just I mean, I've put a lot of effort into how it is, but I've changed a lot over this short hiatus I've taken. And I guess I might as well get into that. First, I will say one thing. Part of these changes I made has been taking better care of myself and basically making sure that I'm as healthy as I can be. So we're getting back into dieting and running and losing some weight. Also, I had finally went to the dentist. I had some very massive tooth pains actually, which prompted me to go to the dentist, but I should be going to the dentist regardless. So I've had my top two wisdom teeth pulled because they were so rotted that they were actually causing me migraines and just like pains that were so intense that I could barely function. Actually ended up going to the ER and they gave me some like opioid painkillers, which didn't actually help because the pain was so much. Like they helped a little bit, they took the edge off, but like I was able to think straight a little bit, but the pain was still there. Um, so those were pulled out, and that went fantastic. They gave me some shots to numb, and they just pulled it out, and it was completely painless. Even after the numbness wore out, there was no pain at all. Like it was bleeding a little bit, but I just had gauze shoved back there for like a day, and we were good the next day. And they've pretty much closed up by now anyway. That was like a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it's been great. Having those pulled, and like I feel so much better having those out of my mouth too. My mouth feels less cramped. And I don't have these like nasty feeling like half broken, like rotted out teeth. I've got two cavities that I'm gonna get filled. I already had one filled. A third one I was already filled when they pulled one of the teeth out. So I've got two cavities get filled. I've had my teeth like properly like cleaned at the dentist, and we're planning on doing that every 6 months. Um, so yeah, at least every 6 months. Maybe even more often. We'll see. But other than that, the dentist said the rest of my teeth look great. I just need to have better dental hygiene and do that more consistently. So that's the plan. And then get those fillings done so that they don't get worse. So I'm really happy about that. So yeah, that was my dental hygiene escapade I had to go through. Um, okay, so now to get on to more something that's a little harder to talk about. I've gotten better at it, but it's still not easy for me to talk about. Um, but at this point, pretty much Pretty much everyone knows at this point, so I might as well. Um, so I have done a lot of like inward looking, and I've basically opened the floodgates and they're not closing anymore. They're staying open, and I've learned to accept this about myself. It's something I've denied myself a lot. It's just because the way I was raised was to not accept this way of life. But way of life is maybe not a good term, but um, I am trans. I do not identify as male any longer. So there's that. I am transitioning into it. I have estrogen that I am doing injections for once a week, and I am taking puberty. I am taking androgen blockers or testosterone blockers twice a day. And I am almost 2 months in. I think I'm 7 weeks in. So lots of changes have already happened, and I've started like making big changes with my wardrobe and stuff like that. In terms of like my progress on that and what plans are for that, come May, like middle of May, around my 3 month mark, I have another appointment to go get my blood tested, see what my levels are at, and most likely increase the dosage, but to like a safe level for me, so I'm not like overdoing that stuff because it's overdoing the hormones and stuff is really dangerous, which is why DIY is not a good idea. But that's why they put me on such a low dosage for 3 months, is just to see how my body reacts to it. That helps them figure out what the dosage that's right for me is. Um, so yeah, so summertime's gonna be a time of like a lot of change for me. So my content shouldn't change. I will change and my branding will probably change, but other than that, the content hopefully is going to stay the same. We'll see how well that ages, but it should stay the same. But yeah, so that's the big news. It's a little nerve wracking to come out and say that in a big online space where pretty much anyone can see it. Pretty much everybody at this point knows, except my parents, but they don't really watch my content. So unless they're randomly checking in on it now, I don't think they even know I stream. But if they randomly come across this, hi mom, hi dad. By the way, I'm not your son anymore. Sorry. At least that's not how I'm identifying. So, um, I do plan to tell them eventually. It's just hard right now. It's just I come from a very conservative family. I've told my siblings, and mostly they took it okay. Most of them took it fantastically, actually. They were all accepting, so that was a good thing. Just you know, some of them some of them are a little more like, okay, sure, if that's what you want, you know. So, which I expect is basically what my parents are gonna be like, but I don't think they're gonna be well. Mom maybe will be, but I don't know. But dad, I'm not so sure about. I feel like dad's just gonna, you know, be like, I love you, but you're confused, which I'm not. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, and I've never been happier about anything. Um, so there's that. Um, yeah, so I went through a pretty big, like, bit of depression. It was really bad, actually. It was hard to function. I just didn't feel like doing anything. And now I am like the opposite. So I'm super happy. Yeah, there's that. Okay, there you go. It's all out there. Where I've been, what's going on, what my plans are. So thank you for watching. I know this is a super short, like 30-minute stream. And I probably could have just recorded this and edited it, but it felt better just to sort of ramble it out and do it unplanned because that's how I do everything else anyway. So hopefully maybe I'll edit this and we'll have some like visuals and stuff for you, and we'll see. It'll be shorter too and easier to digest. It won't be as rambly and yappy as it is now. So, yeah. I'll be back. I got a few things to do. Probably maybe shower. And I don't know if I'm going to the store or not, but I will be streaming here again today in a little bit. I can't give you the exact time frame because I don't know what all I'm going to do before I start streaming. But Overwatch is the plan. I would like to just basically run some solo queue ranked probably. Maybe I'll queue up some friends if they're on, but yeah, there's that. Oh, actually, speaking of Overwatch, before I go, one last update. So I've had a few peppered in streams here and there of you've probably seen like Team Soul Orbs, like VOD reviewing and like GFest coaching and stuff like that. So a little bit of an update on that. So Soul Orbs, if you aren't aware, was my team that I was making for OWCS. I had basically a lot of the esports players that I've had come through my program, like the top players, basically invited them to that. And then a handful of friends that I played with a lot that were all basically masters. So we we were planning on doing OWCS, and I was trying to basically be team coach, team manager, team captain, like all at once. Those three roles are very different, and I was doing all of them at once, and it's a lot of work when you're also working as an esports coach and doing even more than that for collegiate. So it's very hard for me to keep up, especially getting everyone's schedules to line up for scrims. Like getting scrims in general was just really hard for me. I didn't have the time to just like harass people for scrims. Um, and I didn't have time to like micromanage everyone's schedules and stuff like that. And then when we did have time, like, I got everyone's schedules, and when we had times to actually practice together, half of the people just would not show up. They would even go as far as to be playing the game in solo queue because they were more worried about what their current rank is than investing in the team. So after I'd invested $300 into team coaching sessions with GFest and stuff like that, I got burned pretty hard on that aspect. I even did all the branding and stuff like that. So that was fun, but yeah. So needless to say, it failed. I deleted the server, stepped away. Me and one of the other players that um, was more invested, basically, decided to go search for a different team, maybe something that's a little more structured already and kind of already up off the ground, but would take us as players because we were only Masters players anyways, and a little bit washed Masters players at that, as my current rank shows, and as the new season rank reset has basically bullied me down out of Masters, but anyways though. We're now on Team No Future, is what it's called. They've got two teams, Alpha Gamma. I'm team captain on Gamma. We're basically all Masters players. Fantastic group of people. So yeah, so we've already played stage 1 and 2 of OWCS. They went okay. It was about 50-50. So wasn't too bad actually. Pretty happy with where we landed. And I'm hoping stage 3 and 4 goes a lot better. We'll see. But yeah, really excited for those going forward. That's basically what we're going to be training for. So you may see some No Future content. That's what it is. It's not Soul Orbs anymore. We're No Future now. So, yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that content because I think it'll be a lot of fun for me to do. And hopefully it's fun for you to view. So, anyways, that's everything for now. I'll see you all in a bit when I get on to Overwatch. So, bye. Thanks for watching and dealing with me and putting up with all my shit and, and waiting. So, see ya.